What a year it has been, 2024, for the nation of Korea. So yesterday I was going to, is this on? Yeah, I hope it's on. So yesterday was Saturday. I was going to watch RM's documentary, RPWP, and have a nice day. But in the afternoon, there was a rally, right, protest for the president impeachment. And before that, I wanted to do some more research on the martial law and what happened that night and the aftermath. And the more I research, the more I realize that this is some serious matter, right? Which is why a lot of people are angry, and which is why there is some huge chaos in the country at the moment. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about three things largely. First, the general summary. First of all, what the international media has been saying about the Korean situation, and a very brief summary of that night, the night the martial law was declared. So here's a timeline. So that's the second thing I'm gonna talk about. Third, I'll talk about some matters that were revealed the following days, right? What the president has been planning on, and some provocative facts that had been known to the public. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about some updates, what happened today, right? And interestingly, this is the year when the international K-pop fans realize how unreliable Korean media is, right? But I think in this video we can figure out what they actually do when they do their jobs, like the journalist, uncovering the facts and the truth. But of course, we always have to take whatever they say with a grain of salt, right? Which is what we have learned this year. Okay, so let's do this. First of all, The Guardian has released this interesting article saying K-pop and autocrats. Jolt to democracy lays bare South Korea's two sides. And it starts with the mentioning of BTS. In the global battle for soft power supremacy, a clear winner has emerged in recent years, South Korea. Spearheaded by the boy band phenomenon BTS, the Korean wave has turned a country that few knew much about into a cultural behemoth. Few knew about this country? Okay, that's sad. Anyways, so what this article talks about is, South Korea is celebrated globally for its cultural experts like BTS and Squid Game, the Netflix series, right? But it has faced a stark contrast when President Yoon Suk-yeol, briefly declared martial law to suppress anti-state forces. And, the move was quickly overturned after a parliamentary backlash, but it drew international criticism and raised fears of a return to the country's authoritarian past. And for older citizens, it revived memories of military dictatorships, right? While younger generations witnessed their democracy's fragility. Yet, swift resistance from lawmakers and citizens highlighted its resilience, and there's a viral footage of opposition members confronting armed soldiers, which became a symbol of defiance, like this spokesperson of Democratic Party. But critics worry that the crisis tarnished South Korea's global image, especially following achievements like Han Gang's Nobel Prize this year, which was such a significant achievement. And others argue that it highlighted the strength of its democratic institutions as public and political opposition forced Yoon's retreat. And at the time, the article said that with an impeachment vote imminent, South Korea stands at a pivotal moment, choosing between reinforcing its democratic gains or risking echoes of its authoritarian history, right, when the entire nation was under the military dictatorship. And as you know, the vote, So here's a BBC article released 11 hours ago. South Korea's emotional protesters watch impeachment hopes fade. So I don't know if you have watched footage of the protest. There were a lot of young people, interestingly holding the light sticks of whatever idol groups that they support, right? So it was quite a fascinating scene. The street filled with different light sticks that illuminated the streets, right? Anyways, so it says outside Seoul National Assembly, tens of thousands gather amid music and chants demanding President Yoon's impeachment. And it said the festive atmosphere, complete with light sticks and protest anthems, belied a serious cost, removing a president many see as a threat to democracy. Now, despite a public apology from Yoon on the morning of the impeachment vote, frustration boiled over as the ruling People Power Party, PPP, boycotted the session, right? So they left in the middle of the voting session. And this prevented the opposition from securing the votes needed to pass the bill. So we still have Yoon as president. And yes, President Yoon did make a public apology yesterday morning, which lasted under 2 minutes, is shorter than typical hype K-pop songs like Eyelids, which have been under 3 minutes. But his address, public apology, was even shorter. And protesters from students to retirees watched in dismay as the chaotic proceedings unfolded on large screens. The crowd's hopes briefly surged when a few PPP members, People Power Party, returned to the chamber, but their optimism faded as the deadline approached with no further defections. So 3 politicians from the PPP participated in voting, right? 1 person didn't leave at all, but 2 people left and then came back and voted. While opposition leaders vowed to reintroduce the impeachment bill, protest leaders promised to continue their fight. With 75% of the public supporting impeachment and Yoon's approval rating at a dismal 13%, the movement shows no signs of slowing. As a rally dispersed to the strains of All I Want for Christmas, plans for more protests on Sunday were already on their way. So, this is what happened last night. Okay. Now let's talk about what actually happened the night of the martial law and the aftermath, the things that we have learned. So here's a timeline. Martial law in South Korea from declaration to revocation. December 3rd, 10:28 p.m. President Yoon Suk-yeol declares martial law, the first such move in 45 years. And here's the emergency national address that President Yoon delivered. My fellow citizens, as president, I address you today with a heavy heart. Since the inauguration of this administration, the National Assembly has initiated impeachment proceedings against 22 government officials, with 10 additional cases pursued under the current legislature since June. This is unprecedented not only in South Korea's history, but globally as well. The legislative branch has paralyzed the judiciary by intimidating judges and impeaching numerous prosecutors. The administrative branch has also been targeted with attempts to impeach key figures, including the Minister of Interior and Safety, the chairperson of the Korea Communications Commission, the Auditor General, and the Minister of Defense. The handling of the national budget has further worsened this crisis. So he called it a crisis. Essential allocations for public safety, drug enforcement, and disaster response have been entirely cut, undermining the state's core functions. Reductions of 1 trillion won in disaster contingency funds, 38.4 billion won in childcare subsidies, 4.1 trillion won from youth employment and energy projects are just a few examples. Even the planned pay raises for junior military officers were obstructed. Such actions amount to nothing less than an abuse of budgetary power. So for context, even though the presidency is held by Yoon, who was part of PPP, the majority of the lawmakers' positions are filled by Democratic Party. Okay, I think they have twice as many seats as PPP. So, which is why a lot of policies that presidents wanted to, go ahead with have been blocked by the opposition party. So he's blaming on them. This legislative tyranny, called it tyranny, not only disregards the people's welfare, but seeks to destabilize the constitutional order. The National Assembly, meant to uphold democracy, has instead become a tool to dismantle it, threatening the foundations of our free democratic system. Citizens of South Korea, I have declared martial law, and here's a kicker, right? I have declared martial law. I was like, what? Martial law? All right, let's get back to the speech. I have declared martial law to protect our nation from these anti-state forces and to restore order to our constitutional democracy. This measure is essential to eradicate elements that seek to subvert our freedom and disrupt the state. My goal is to rebuild the Republic of Korea as a nation that secures liberty and safety for its people while safeguarding its future. Well, instead, he almost destroyed the nation. I recognize that this decision may cause inconvenience to law-abiding citizens. I will do everything in my power to minimize disruption to your daily lives. This action is necessary to ensure the continuity of our democratic values and fulfill South Korea's responsibilities within the international community. I ask for your understanding and trust as I dedicate myself fully to protecting the Republic of Korea. Together, we will overcome this challenge and preserve our nation's democracy and freedom for our generations to come. Thank you. And as you know, everyone was shocked, whether you're from left or right. And that was the emergency address that happened at 10:28 p.m. Now, 10:43 p.m., Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun orders a meeting of senior military commanders. And this guy, Kim Yong-hyun, will be a key figure deep in controversies. 10:49 p.m., PPP leader Han-dong-hun publicly criticizes the martial law declaration as a mistake. And later on, we'll find out. So originally, this guy, president, and this guy are on the same team, or they were supposed to be. But later, it was found out that he wanted to arrest him during as part of the martial law, which surprised more surprised everyone. Now, 10:56 p.m., Democratic Party leader Lee Jae-myung urges citizens to gather at the National Assembly. So he immediately got out of his house and then went over to the National Assembly while streaming on YouTube Live, talking about what Yoon is doing and urging people to come over. And this is when the martial law command made proclamation number 1. Okay, which is this? Actually, yeah, here we go. In response to the threat posed by anti-state forces seeking to overthrow the Republic of Korea from within, martial law has been declared nationwide as of 11 p.m. on December 3rd, 2024, to safeguard our democratic system and protect the safety of our citizens. The following measures are hereby proclaimed. 1. All political activities, including those of the National Assembly, local councils, political parties, assemblies, and demonstrations are prohibited. Yeah, that was number 1. Number 2. Any acts that deny or attempt to overthrow the democratic system, as well as the dissemination of fake news, manipulation of public opinion, or false propaganda are strictly prohibited. Number 3. All media and publications will be subject to control by the martial law command. So under the martial law command has the supreme authority. Okay. Number 4, strikes, slowdowns, and gatherings that incite social unrest are prohibited. Number 5, medical personnel, including residents and interns who are currently striking or absent from duty, must return to their positions and fully resume work within 48 hours. Failure to comply will result in punishment under martial law. Number 6, measures will be taken to minimize inconvenience to ordinary law-abiding citizens, excluding those identified as anti-state or subversive elements. Violators of these provisions will be subject to arrest, detention, search, and seizure without warrant under Article 9 of the martial law, Act and will face penalties under Article 14 of the same act. December 3rd, 2024, Park An-soo, General of the Army and Martial Law Commander. Now, the wording was quite interesting, especially the word 처단. So in translation, I said they will face penalties, but it's actually very violent. Like it almost has an implication of having someone executed for what they have done. It's super violent. Anyways, so that was a proclamation that was declared at around 11 p.m. Back to the timeline. 11:25 p.m. General Park An-soo is appointed as martial law commander. 11:46 p.m. 3 helicopters believed to be carrying troops are seen entering the National Assembly grounds. Clashes ensue as military personnel push past reporters and staff to enter the building. And then December 4th, right, past midnight, 1 a.m., the National Assembly unanimously passes a resolution nullifying the martial law with 190 votes in favor, declaring it invalid. Speaker Woo Won-sik reaffirms the Assembly's commitment to democracy, at the time. And then after that, 4:26 a.m., President Yoon announces the revocation of martial law, yielding to parliamentary demands. Seoul citizens cheered the withdrawal of troops. So they revoked the martial law under 3 hours, I think. And the whole thing was over under 6 hours. 10 a.m., civic groups, including the Korean Federation of Trade Unions and People's Solidarity for Participatory Democracy, hold protests in Gwanghwamun Square, condemning the martial law and calling for Yoon's impeachment. 10 a.m., 9 high-ranking aides to President Yoon, including Chief of Staff and National Security Advisor, offer their resignations. 2:40 p.m., the opposition submits a motion to impeach President Yoon to the National Assembly. And 6:25 p.m., Defense Minister Kim Yong-yeon tenders his resignation. So let's learn more about this person, Kim Yong-yeon, Defense Minister, and what he knew about as the whole thing unfolded. Details emerge on martial law declaration and its aftermath. So martial law commander gave a testimony the next day. Okay, this article was released by BBC News Korea, December 5th. General Park An-soo, who served as the National Law Commander, revealed during a parliamentary hearing on December 5th that he was unaware of the martial law declaration beforehand, learning of it only after President Yoon's public announcement. He was formally informed of his role as commander during a military commanders meeting shortly thereafter. Park emphasized that he focused on setting up a situation room and stated he had no intention of turning weapons on the public. But he admitted he lacked clarity on the authorship of Proclamation number 1 and the legal review process behind it, saying he merely read and approved the documents under the assurance of Defense Minister Kim Yong-yeon that it had been legally reviewed. Proclamation, like we have just seen, included measures such as banning all political activities, restricting media, and forbidding assemblies, which lawmakers criticized as unconstitutional. Under Korea's constitution, even during martial law, parliamentary political activities cannot be suspended. Park acknowledged his lack of expertise to evaluate its legality, a statement that drew further criticism. Now, as we have read, between 11:48 p.m. and 1 a.m., 230 armed soldiers entered the National Assembly grounds via helicopters, with another 50 troops joining later. Both Park and Vice Minister of Defense Kim Sun-ho denied authorizing the troop deployments. And Kim actually attributed the order to former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun, and they said former because he tendered resignation, right, who did not attend the hearing. Amid concerns over the use of force, Kim confirmed that the deployed soldiers, including members of the Special Warfare Command, were not issued live ammunition. He expressed deep regret over the military's involvement and took personal responsibility for failing to prevent the situation. He General Park attributed the failure of the martial law implementation to hasty orders that left the military unprepared, right? Because lots of people question, okay, so you declare martial law, but why did it fail so easily and miserably? Thank God that it failed. But according to General Park, it's because the military was unprepared. He noted a general sense of disorder rather than deliberate disobedience among troops. Interesting, right? He noted a general sense of disorder rather than deliberate disobedience among troops. Former Defense Minister Kim Yong-yeon, reportedly the main advocate for martial law, resigned and did not attend the hearing. Opposition lawmakers criticized his absence, accusing him of evading accountability. Now, I'm going to talk about this at the very end of this live stream, but he actually turned himself in this morning and got arrested. But something is fishy about that too. President Yoon's martial law declaration lasted less than 3 hours, ending after the National Assembly passed a resolution nullifying it. The aftermath has left the administration grappling with widespread criticism, legal scrutiny, and ongoing calls for accountability. Now, the thing is, even though, according to this article, the military dispatched 230 armed soldiers to the National Assembly, it turns out it was more than that. So, the past few days, there have been exclusives after exclusives, okay, released by all these media agencies, media companies, news media. Okay, so this one. Martial law troops at National Assembly far exceeded reported numbers. New data reveals that 685 troops were deployed to the National Assembly during President Yoon's martial law declaration, far exceeding the initially reported figure of 280. Right? And it turns out President Yoon really wanted to, prevent the National Assembly from making any moves right after the martial law. And then here, sniper presence denied by military, but evidence emerges. Turns out there were even snipers deployed to the National Assembly. A sniper, reportedly part of the martial law troops deployed to the National Assembly, was captured on camera by journalists, contradicting earlier claims by the military that no snipers were present. The photograph taken by 경향신문, which I personally do not like because Lee Sun-myung, the infamous journalist, always targeting Hive and BTS, is part of this company, 경향. But anyways, the photograph taken by 경향신문 in the early hours of December 4 shows a soldier armed with a sniper rifle, equipped with a suppressor and carrying a tripod, characteristics attributed to the elite 707th Special Mission Group snipers. Pretty scary stuff, right? And yeah, that was a night of terror. Next article. Here is the title. It says, "We thought it was a mission against North Korea, but it was the National Assembly. Testimonies from martial law troops." Okay, so they interviewed the actual soldiers. On December 4th, armed troops began withdrawing from the National Assembly after President Yoon's martial law was nullified. Soldiers from the Army's Special Warfare Command who had been deployed later revealed they were unaware of their true mission until moments before deployment, believing they were preparing for an operation against North Korea. Right? Special Forces Soldier A, so unnamed, part of the elite 707 Special Mission Group, said he and his unit were initially told they might be mobilized for a critical North Korea-related operation. Only during their helicopter ride to Seoul were they informed their destination was the National Assembly. Quote, "We were then ordered to remove all members of parliament, which left us in shock," he said. He described a sense of betrayal and professional disillusionment. "We're trained for counterterrorism and high-value target operations, not for confronting unarmed civilians." Troops were ill-prepared for the situation. Soldier A described breaking into the assembly building without a clear plan. "We moved slowly and deliberately, feeling the absurdity of wielding weapons in such an inappropriate context," he said. noting that his unit carried training rounds, not live ammunition. And then there were tensions with civilians and staff, right? Upon arrival, soldiers faced barricades created by assembly staff and civilian protesters who used furniture and fire extinguishers to block access. Some civilians shouted accusations of treason and tried to grab the soldiers' weapons. Soldier C recalled, "I never imagined conducting an operation against unarmed civilians. Seeing their faces so close, filled with fear and anger, was deeply unsettling." Yeah, that must have been a traumatic experience, both for civilians and soldiers, right? Another soldier, D, named as D, expressed anger over the secrecy surrounding the mission. "We were told nothing until the last minute, which felt like a betrayal. It was as if we were expendable tools," D said. Soldiers unaccustomed to such situations moved hesitantly, with one saying, "If this were a real combat scenario, we would all have been lost due to this lack of preparation." At the same time, a lot of experts said that, if they really had set their minds to it, they could have, killed everyone and shut down the whole parliament within a few minutes, because they were trained professionals, right? Trained for this purpose. But as we have seen, these soldiers felt betrayed and very confused, which is why they didn't really, make moves as they were given orders. Documents and text messages later revealed that the military leadership misled troops, framing the situation as a grave North Korea-related emergency to secure their compliance. Democratic Party lawmaker Park Sun-won accused military commanders of deceiving the soldiers to coerce their involvement in a politically motivated mission. As videos circulated showing soldiers apologizing to protesters, public sympathy grew for the troops. Many criticized the government for placing soldiers in such an untenable position. Military experts noted the damage to both public trust and troop morale. The military's mission is to protect the people and democracy. Deploying soldiers in this way undermines their loyalty and sense of purpose, one expert said. Yeah, so, to summarize, these events have left lasting scars, both on the military and civilians. And it raises critical questions about, the misuse of armed forces for political ends. And this is not it. More information have come out. So this is an interview with former Deputy National Intelligence Service Chief Hong Chang-won, and he said he was dismissed for refusing unlawful orders. First Deputy Director of NIS, National Intelligence Service, spoke exclusively with KBS, one of the major news media companies in Korea, shedding light on the events surrounding President Yoon's martial law declaration. He revealed he was removed from his post on December 6th after refusing orders he deemed unlawful. What kinds of orders? We will figure out. So here are some key revelations. 1. Hong stated that President Yoon directly instructed him to support counterintelligence operations aimed at arresting political figures, including opposition leaders. The president told me, arrest them all and clean everything up. 이번 기회에 다 잡아들여라. 싹 다 정리하라. Hong said, adding that this directive came with promises to restore the National Intelligence Service's domestic investigative powers. He reported the instructions to NIS Director Cho Tae-young, who avoided further discussion. Hong described the president as highly agitated during their phone call. While the president often used extreme language about North Korea, this order felt impulsive and reckless, Hong noted. He also claimed Intelligence Commander Yeon In-hyung appeared deeply committed to executing the martial law plan, further heightening concerns. Although Yeon In-hyung, the general or the counterintelligence commander, denied everything. Now, Director Cho demanded Hong's resignation on December 5th, citing presidential orders. But by the following day, Cho reversed his stance. Hong Jang-won, who spoke up, his boss. So he reversed his stance, urging Hong to remain in his role. Hong believed this sudden shift was an attempt to silence him ahead of the impeachment vote, following media leaks about the controversial directives. Hong revealed that many military officials, including deployed special forces, were misled about the true nature of their mission. They were told it was a North Korea-related emergency, only to find themselves at the National Assembly, he said, which aligns with this interview with the military personnel involved in the mission. Hong expressed relief that the martial law plan unraveled before any violent incidents occurred, stating if just one soldier had acted impulsively, the consequences could have been catastrophic. Yes, and I believe that if few individuals on that night made different decisions, the history would have changed completely for Korea. Hong accused Director Cho of knowing more than he admitted publicly, while Cho, his boss, denied receiving detailed instructions about targeting political figures. Hong countered that he had fully briefed the director, who chose to stay uninvolved. And he criticized senior officials for allowing the situation to escalate. Those who caused or allowed this chaos to persist must be held accountable, he said. He also highlighted the risk of a second martial law attempt, citing the appointment of figures loyal to the original plan in key military positions. And a lot of civilians, citizens, including myself, were concerned about that, right? A possible second martial law declaration, even though President himself said that that will never happen yesterday morning as part of his apology statements. But still, who can trust anymore after such things happen? Hong admitted he considered resigning, but ultimately decided to speak out after being contacted by a National Assembly committee member. I couldn't lie about what had happened, he said, detailing the events during an extraordinary session on December 6th. Now, NIS Director Cho denied Hong's allegations, stating he was unaware of any orders to arrest political figures, and asserting that Hong's dismissal was his own decision due to concerns over political neutrality. Cho acknowledged expressing concerns during cabinet meetings, but claimed to have opposed the martial law plan. But according to Mr. Hong, this is a partial list of the people that President Yoon wanted to arrest. Okay, the list disclosed by former deputy NIS includes National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik, People Power Party leader Han-dong-hun, right, the guy that I said was supposed to be on the same team with President Yoon, but apparently he wasn't happy with this guy, and yeah, that was shocking. The fact that he wanted to arrest his own person. And Democratic Party leader Lee Jae-myung, floor leader Park Chan-dae, Supreme Council member Kim Min-seok, and Legislation and Judiciary Committee chair Chung Cheong-nae. And other names on the list include Joguk, leader of the Joguk Innovation Party, so it's a different party, and a broadcaster, Kim Ho-jun. So he's a broadcaster and a YouTuber of a quite major YouTube channel, but he's a civilian, he's not a politician. And President Yoon wanted to arrest this guy. That was another shocker. And the former Chief Justice Kim Myung-soo, former Justice Kwon Soon-il, and Kim Min-ung, head of the Candlelight Action and elder brother of Kim Min-seok, a politician. Yeah, and this list was quite a shocker for everyone. Now, here's more news. So, it turns out that it wasn't just the National Assembly that President Yoon wanted to target with the military. According to this article, 297 armed troops stormed Election Commission headquarters, seizing phones from staff. Following President Yoon Suk-yeol's emergency martial law declaration, it has been confirmed that 297 armed troops entered the Central Election Commission facilities, including its Gwacheon headquarters, Gwanak office, and the Election Training Institute. During this operation, they confiscated the mobile phones of 5 on-duty staff members. According to a report submitted to Democratic Party representative, approximately 10 martial law troops arrived at the CEC, this Central Election Commission headquarters in Gwacheon at 10:30 p.m., just 6 minutes after President Yoon's announcement. At the same time, police began blocking the building's entrance, restricting access. The first group of troops stormed the night duty office, confiscating the mobile phones of 5 staff members and monitoring their actions. By 11:50 p.m., an additional 90 police officers arrived. Around 12:30 a.m., another 110 troops reinforced the perimeter of the headquarters, conducting a security operation inside the building. The military's presence lasted about 3 hours. Following the National Assembly's resolution to revoke martial law at approximately 1 a.m., the troops withdrew by 1:50 a.m. Police forces, however, remained until around 7 a.m. At the same time, 130 troops were deployed to the Election Training Institute in Suwon. They waited near the facility starting at 12:50 a.m. and withdrew at 2:40 a.m. About 100 police officers also arrived around 11:30 p.m. the previous evening and left by 7 a.m. Now, why did President Yoon, target this facility? We'll see here. On December 3rd, during the state of emergency, armed military forces entered NEC building and accessed the server room. So here's a server room. And they photographed servers related to early voting. According to the National Assembly's Public Administration and Security Committee, at 10:33 p.m., again 6 minutes after the emergency declaration, military personnel entered the NEC headquarters in Gwacheon, Gyeonggi Province and proceeded directly to the second floor server room. So maybe this was the main target, not the National Assembly, or maybe this target was as important as the NA. The NEC server room is divided into 4 sections. Section A, Integrated Voter List System for Early Voting. Section B, Administrative Systems. Section C, Security Equipment. And Section D, Communication Systems. The military personnel reportedly focused on photographing Section A, which houses the integrated voter list servers related to early voting. This list consolidates voter information from polling stations nationwide to verify voters during early voting. Some civic groups alleging election fraud have claimed that the integrated voter list is key evidence of such fraud and have accused the NEC of concealing it. So, as I said, right now, President is kind of powerless because there are much more lawmakers from the, how should I say? I think PPP, People Power Party has less than 110 lawmakers. And there are in total of 300 seats in the National Assembly, right? Because the party wasn't that popular during the General Assembly, right? So they basically lost. And since then, some extreme right-wing YouTubers and their followers claim that the voting was rigged, the election was rigged. And it kind of seems like President really believed that theory, which is why he deployed troops to CEC to probably, he wanted to take away the servers, the entire server, these racks. Who knows? Anyway, that was another shocker. Now, here's something more. I have said in the beginning that Kim Yong-hyun, the defense minister, was a key figure, right? Even though he resigned. So Kim Yong-hyun allegedly ordered provocation against North Korea. What is this? A week before the martial law declaration, Kim Yong-hyun allegedly ordered the military to strike North Korea launch sites if waste balloons were sent across the border. So waste balloons, also called 오물풍선, had been an issue in Korea this year because North Korea has been sending balloons filled with waste, like dirty stuff, over to South Korea for whatever reasons, as part of their provocation moves. But what this article is saying is that if waste balloons are being sent over to South Korea, he ordered the military to strike the launch site in North Korea, right? Which would be dangerous and potentially start a war. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, JCS, Kim Myung-soo, refused, fearing the escalation of a localized conflict. The order reportedly intended to provoke a confrontation that could justify martial law, faced opposition from senior military officials, and was ultimately not executed. The JCS, Joint Chief of Staff, has not denied the allegations, but confirmed internal discussions about the strike. Analysts suggest that carrying out the order could have quickened the martial law declaration. So, yeah, this raises significant concerns about the motivations behind the military directives during the lead up to the crisis. Here's something more. Military order to break into assembly or cut power before martial law votes. KBS has confirmed that just before the National Assembly passed a resolution to nullify martial law, military commanders ordered troops to break into the chamber or cut electricity to disrupt the vote. The instructions were reportedly given to the 1st Airborne Special Forces Brigade commander via a secure phone call. Here are some key points. The Special Forces commander received orders to break down the doors and remove lawmakers or cut the electricity if necessary to halt the vote. And he was shocked, right? And he put the call on speaker for his subordinates to hear. Believing that the order violated political neutrality, the commander refused to execute it, instead instructing his troops to retreat and avoid escalating the situation. While the defense minister has denied issuing such orders, the instructions, specificity of the instructions suggests higher level involvement. The commander emphasized his sorrow at seeing elite troops used as political tools and highlighted the need for the military to uphold public trust and maintain pride in their roles. Yeah. And what would have happened if these soldiers actually followed the order, right? And halt the vote? It's kind of scary to think about that. And speaking of Kim Yong-hyun, key figures in martial law scandal leave Telegram amid evidence tampering allegations. For your context, the most popular messenger app in Korea is KakaoTalk. But Telegram is more secure. And if I remember correctly, criminals prefer Telegram because Kakao, the company, if they're requested by the government or the police, they have to hand over information, even if it's like private information, right? So a lot of people, not only criminals, but if they wanted to discuss something really important, prefer to use Telegram as a messenger app. Now, this article says that key figures in martial law scandal leave Telegram amid evidence tampering allegations. Former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun and Presidential Chief of Staff Chung Jin-seok, central figures in the martial law crisis, reportedly deactivated and re-registered their Telegram accounts on December 7th. The timing, just after President Yoon Suk-yeol pledged to take responsibility for the martial law declaration, has raised concerns about potential evidence tampering. And very interestingly, today, so this article was revealed yesterday, this morning, like I said a few minutes ago, Kim Yong-hyun, the former defense minister, makes surprise midnight appearance amid martial law investigation. He unexpectedly appeared at the prosecutor's office in the early hours today. Opting for a time when investigations typically do not take place, Kim's sudden decision raises questions about his motives. The prosecution's martial law special investigation unit, led by Seoul High Prosecutor Park Se-hyun, arrested former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun early on December 8th and transferred him to the Seoul Eastern Detention Center. He voluntarily appeared at the office at 1:30 a.m., where he was being questioned. The special unit also seized Kim's mobile phone during the process. The arrest was made under emergency measures which allow authorities to detain a suspect without a warrant if there is substantial evidence of a crime punishable by death, life imprisonment, or imprisonment for 3 years or more, and if there are concerns about evidence tampering or escape. Suspicions arose after Kim reportedly deleted and rejoined Telegram in an apparent attempt to destroy evidence, as this article suggests. The prosecution must request a formal detention warrant within 48 hours of his arrest. So, yeah, things are happening very quickly. And just a few hours ago, at 12 p.m., around 12 p.m., 한덕수, the prime minister, and 한동훈, the leader of the PPP, delivered joint address to the nation. So here's the latest, okay? After the impeachment failed, the next day, they delivered this address. Prime Minister 한덕수 and People Power Party Chairman Han Dong-hun delivered a joint address to the nation on December 8th, requesting the National Assembly's cooperation in managing the transition following President Yoon Suk-yeol's orderly early resignation and ensuring the continuity of state governance. They also pledged to prevent President Yoon from intervening in state affairs, including diplomacy, before his resignation. So, it sounds like everyone has agreed that President Yoon has to go, including his own party. But rather than having him impeached, they want him to resign early. So that's the plan, which is why the party boycotted the voting last night, right? So let's read on. Standing side by side at the central conference room of the People Power Party headquarters, Chairman Han, the leader of the PPP, began by stating, "The hard-earned democracy built on the sacrifices of our people is Korea's pride. However, December 3rd declaration of martial law by the president and the deployment of military forces into the National Assembly were unconstitutional actions that damaged our democracy." He noted that the National Assembly adopted a resolution to revoke martial law within 2 hours and 30 minutes, and unconstitutional martial law was ultimately stopped through legitimate means within 5 hours. This showed that Korea's democratic system remains intact and our mature democracy is functioning properly, he said. He acknowledged the severe consequences of the crisis, stating, "The public anxiety and national damage caused by the martial law incident are immense and irreparable. A majority of the people believe that President Yoon can no longer govern effectively and must step down." He emphasized the need for an orderly early resignation, 질서있는 퇴진, to stabilize the political landscape, minimize confusion, and uphold democratic principles. He also promised to outline detailed plans after internal party discussions. He stressed the importance of an impartial investigation into the martial law incident, stating the investigation by law enforcement must be thorough, transparent, and free from any interference. Neither the government nor the party will shield anyone, including the president. But, of course, a lot of people do not buy that, right? And especially the opposition party is saying that how can anyone trust you guys? But that's what they said. To prevent any governance gaps, Han proposed regular meetings between himself and the prime minister, promising weekly consultations and continuous communication to address pressing issues in the economy, foreign relations, and national defense. "We will ensure that no void occurs in state affairs," he vowed. And again, who was this guy? The guy on the right? He's the guy that President Yoon wanted to arrest. Prime Minister Han, the guy on the left, followed by expressing deep remorse for the crisis, bowing 90 degrees in apology. As Prime Minister, I feel a heavy responsibility for the situation. I sincerely apologize to the people. He pledged the government's full efforts to address the situation swiftly, stating, the most important thing is that there should be no vacuum in governance. Referring to economic stagnation, downward trends, and global uncertainties, he emphasized the entire cabinet, led by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, will work to maintain trust with the US, Japan, and other allies. And yes, people are worried about Korean economy because look at this chart, Kospi, which has been fallen quite miserably this year, whereas the U.S. S&P 500, how much did it rise this year past year? Yes. So you can see the dramatic difference between these two markets. Now, Prime Minister appealed to the opposition for bipartisan cooperation, particularly as the political turmoil coincided with the critical year-end budget period, raising concerns of a provisional budget crisis. He said, passing the government's proposed budget and related bills is essential for normal governance, even during emergencies. He also expressed hope for productive dialogue and compromise under National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik's leadership. Both leaders left without taking questions from reporters. As Prime Minister Han exited the headquarters, he briefly responded to questions about discussions on President Yoon's resignation timeline and specifics of a responsible Prime Minister system, stating only a properly handled. So yeah, it's up in the air in terms of what will happen to the president. So that's all we have for now. Whew. Let's see. What do you guys have been talking about in the chat? Sounds shocking. The country is heavily infiltrated and you had no choice. I want to stress that you will have to step down. Good to see you here. Seems like we keep meeting. Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have more news coming out. So what do you guys think about this, the whole issue? KBS News. Okay, so the opposition party will have a press conference in the afternoon. But yeah, the question is, what will happen to Korea before this year ends? You know? And like I said, people are worried about the Korean market because investors hate uncertainties and risk, right? And they have seen that Korea, anything could happen in Korea, right? With such president who can make any decisions that he wants. So from the perspectives, a lot of people, including the PPP party, president is a risk. And it kind of sounds like they want to remove him as well. Although they didn't want to impeach him outright. But we'll see. And as an investor, I care about this issue, right? Because even though I personally believe that Hive is doing well and its future prospect is, not bad to say the least, I believe that it's quite good. But if the entire stock market falls, plummets, then, their stock will be helpless as well. Yeah, that's it. And this was why I could not watch RM's documentary yesterday, because the more I found out about the whole information, the more I realized that, yeah, this is some serious matter unfolding before our own eyes. All All right. That's it. If you have any comments they would like to leave, please do so while trying to stay positive, respectful, and classy. Although I know for some people it's super hard to do so. And I wonder how many people will be interested in this issue, right? Hopefully I can watch the documentary tomorrow, and hopefully I can do some artist-related contents later today. I waited overnight for the results. I can't believe it failed. Yeah, it was a shocker for a lot of people. I saw a tweet about a mom borrowing her daughter's light sticks to use during the protest too. Yeah. 응원봉 시위. Yeah, K-pop light sticks received some attention this time, because before they only used like candles, but now they use all kinds of different tools. I'm interested to see what happens now. The SK people aren't likely to back down. That's true, because lots of people are still angry. The people of South Korea should be proud of their protests and stopping martial law, but who is now running the country? Who is now running the country? That's a great question. For now, well, not the presidents, because the prime minister and the PPP chairman said that he will step down early and he will not intervene with the state affairs. But the thing is, not many people will believe that, right? And especially the opposition party. I'm going to ensure our freedom and democracy by taking away your freedom and democracy is a wild stance. I'm worried about the SK citizens. The president is likely related to NJMNJ. Let's not go that far. And funny thing is, I have been personally disappointed this year by some Democratic Party politicians, because many of them are responsible for bringing honey to the national audits, and the way they, asked questions during the audit to Honey and Kim Ju-young, the CEO of Adore, were kind of surprising to me. The fact that they didn't really research in advance, right? But still, like, this matter is wholly different, right? And I believe that in terms of like talking about the martial law, how wrong it is not really, how do I say? Because I don't like to talk about politics on my channel much, but this matter is different, I think right now we're entering the realm of politics again, like how to handle President Yoon's resignation. Now it's all about like political games, like how the opposition party will respond to the prime minister and the PPP party. But the public is still angry about that, right? And funny thing, there are a lot of people who are asking where they can buy the Park Kyubong. You're talking about Epic High light stick, right? Yeah. I saw it being in trending on X. will be permanently sold out again and again. The Prime Minister should release all BTS members from military. No, that will cause another controversy. So I disagree. What we have to wish for is their safe discharge, right? Safe and sound. By not voting on the impeachment, they don't have to show who really was against him in his own party. True. The documentary was really good. Are you talking about RPWP? I'm glad. I would like to watch it tomorrow because I had time. I heard that like NCT Lightstick was also popular because they could attach like letters on the lightstick, like impeachment. That was funny too. But I don't think anyone could beat Parkupol. Namjoon for Jungkook opened a YouTube channel. Jungkook opened a YouTube channel? And I wanted to emphasize, in the time of crisis and turmoil, let's be aware of, fake news, right? Because there's like wrong information being spread all the time, right? Any artist-related news? 남준 message. Oh, I'm planning on reading this. Actually, this isn't an interview. I thought it was an interview with Jin. Never mind. Cool. All right, that's it. Bam's IG channel has a YouTube link. Oh, really? Bow Wow Bam. Is this it? Oh. Ooh. What is this? Have a good bomb. 일단 만들어 놓기. Have a good bomb is like wordplay. Bomb is the name of his dog, right? But have a good bomb means have a good night, right? In Korean. 일단 만들어 놓기. Meaning like I just created this YouTube channel for now. But joined January 10th though, 2016. So he created this way back and he made a direct link on Instagram. Okay, that's cool. The 8 dropped his mini. Will you be reacting to that? The Chinese album? So yeah, there are a lot of things that I can react to. So I've been thinking about how to do it. Like perhaps I can react to different contents in the morning during live stream. But then again, I cannot watch any like third-party contents on YouTube because that will block the live stream. So I'll have to think about some stuff. I haven't listened to the album though. I haven't. How is it? The 8 album. orbit, right? I just listened to the new track released by N-Team, the Illumination. Cool. National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik just held an emergency press conference criticizing the joint exercise of presidential powers by the Prime Minister, and the ruling party is unconstitutional. Yeah, they would say that. Vernon is featured too. Nice. Cool. All right. Gotta go. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I'm not sure if I'm gonna post things like this in the future. I might, if there's demand. But then again, this is a like hype labels related channel. Although as an investor, this is quite relevant because it will affect everyone, including Hype as a company and stock. But yeah, I'll have to think about it. All right. Have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic evening. Oh, if I were to upload like contents like this in the future, I might post it on my backup channel, Classic Korea. So I haven't posted anything on the channel, but I don't know, just in case, subscribe to this one. All right? And that's it. Have a wonderful day. See you guys later. Bye-bye. Peace and love.